Esther Paradio, Sir Jerry Riquillo.
Hi,
Happy
Sir Jerry.
watching, Sir Jerry. And magpag-greet daw si Edwin Rivera. Mahayong hapon sa inyo dira. And to Eva Cris Laurente and Gloria Arellano Iñano. Good evening, good afternoon sa inyo. And mga kapaglaom, ayaw pud og kalimot sa pag-like, share sa atong episode karong kagabi unon, no? Pag-comment mo diha kay ato ng tagaan og panahon sa pagbasa diri sa ato nga comment section sa ato nga Facebook. So all over the world, ang atong mga kapaglaom gatan-aw karon, so maayong gabi sa inyo. Sa amo pod nga pamilya, no? Pamilya Morta og Kapilitan, maayong gabi sa inyo diha sa Leyte. And sa among mga kaubanan diha sa country office sa Silang Cavite, maayong gabi, maayong udto. Hapon diha sa inyo, no? Kay alas 5 pa man diha sa hapon. Among ginapanimbaya ang among Finance Director Edwin Rivera, ang among Program Manager Sir Jerry Riquillo, and to all staff, di yun ako maisa-isa mo diya, pero basig manluod mo, Regine Katani, sa ako lang may numduman, Ma'am Grace, Catherine Lucas, maayong gabi sa inyo dira hapon, and to
Sir Leo,
the Department of Marketing and Fundraising, maayong gabi sa inyo dira, headed by Amy Grace Tapiceria and Winley Joyce Molena. Okay? And siguro si Sian mo pa din soban.
yes, I'd like to say shout out to Kuya Leo, nag-ingon dyan siya, nag-comment siya nga, pa-shout out. So maayong gabi ipod sa inyong tanan. Kung wala na mention na inyong mga pangalan, please, atong mga kauban sa ADRA, i-comment na dira para amo po mabasa. Now, we're very happy mga kapaglaom since we're live via Facebook and YouTube. If you want to share this episode, please do not forget to use our official hashtags. Hashtag Ready with ADRA, hashtag Disaster Ready Church, and hashtag ADRA Angels. Again, mga kapaglaom, hashtag Ready with ADRA, hashtag Disaster Ready Church, and hashtag ADRA Angels. Gamitan na ninyo ang ato ang official hashtags. Now, karong gabi, mga kapaglaom, we're so happy sa inyong nakita pag wide tulumi kabuok. There's 3 of us, not just 2. And we're so happy that he is here and we'll be interviewing him for tonight's episode. We want to know him more and also ADRA in general for this year 2023. So, as of now, he is the ADRA Asia's Humanitarian Response Coordinator. He's from the country of Sri Lanka. So, para sa uban, mag-English po ta mga kapaglaom, no? Para ato po siyang mas mahinabi pa. Kay si ADRA, dili lang sa Pilipinas, all over the world si ADRA. That's why we have colleagues also that comes from the other parts of the world. So, sir, our guest, no, for tonight, he's from Sri Lanka. And now, he holds a very important position. He is the new ADRA Philippines Country Director. Let us welcome our guest for tonight, Sir Prabuk Bantara Tilike. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Chantal, and also Carl. Thank you for having me here on the show. It's good to be here. It's my first time, so I hope I don't make any mistakes, but you guys seem to be so natural, doing it like professionals. But yeah, thanks a lot for having me here.
Yes, would you like to greet your family, friends, whoever?
Yes, I want to greet everyone, all the supporters, especially all the ADRA Angels.
Yes.
You know who you are, and if you do not know what ADRA Angels is, I think they can find out on the website, right?
Yes, exactly.
So please, I'm encouraging you to go on to ADRA Philippines website and find out more about ADRA Angels, but shout out to my family and friends in Sri Lanka, the ADRA Sri Lanka team. I don't know whether they'll be watching, but just I'm saying hi to them as well.
Yes, because you can also share this episode maybe later.
Okay.
Yeah, and they can check out how our conversations went for this episode. Now, Sir Prabuk is here with us, and if you have questions mga kapaglaom, kung namoy mga pangutana para sa iyaha nga wala na nato nasulat kay dili nato mapangutana, i-comment na dira sa Facebook. Please do comment your questions to him also, and we want to know what you want to know para pod sa ADRA in general. Now, sir, I heard that it's your first time here in the Philippines and here in Mindanao. So how is it so far?
So yeah, it is my first time. I actually tried to be here in 2019, but then with the pandemic, we couldn't make that visit. So it's the first time, and it's really nice to be here. Everybody's very friendly, starting from the immigration officers from the airport. They said, okay, why are you here? I said, I'm here for some work. And they said, okay, you have a good time, you know. And they spoke to me nicely, and I don't think I've experienced that with any other immigration.
Wow,
so it's really
that's
good.
a good impression.
It was a good impression. It was a good impression, and the office staff are really nice. I heard you mentioning the names, so now I will not have to. I don't have the burden to mention their names here. But yeah, I think it's really good to be here. I like the weather. I like where we are staying. IAS campus. It's really nice for the kids. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Similar weather with Sri Lanka.
Yeah, so actually, if anybody has been to Sri Lanka, you will know that Colombo is very hot and humid. But where I live is in the hill country, in Kandy. So the weather is similar to what you have in actually Silang. So it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so sa ato mga kapaglaom, init ra dito. So it's also hot there, humid.
In Colombo, very humid. Yeah.
Oh,
Very
relate ra
humid.
day. Relate ra ta mga kapaglaom sa weather ni Sir Prabuk dadto pod sa Sri Lanka. It's like we're getting a glimpse also of your country through our conversations, right? Because we haven't been to Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Yes, and for our viewers also. Now, sir, how about your family? Could you please introduce them? And 4D, we have pictures also, photos of Sir Prabuk's family.
Yeah, so I have one wife.
Praise
course.
the Lord.
Praise the Lord. One wife. And,
One wife only.
Yeah, her name is Maliti. And I have two daughters, beautiful daughters. The elder one is Meda. We couldn't bring her to Philippines, but hopefully we'll meet her soon.
Oh,
Yeah.
so your wife and you have two daughters, right?
Two daughters, 7, 11.
So where are they studying now?
Right now they're in IAS Academy, and they're enjoying it. They're making friends. I just had a call with my wife before joining the show, and she said they have brought some friends over. So we have a lot of their friends visiting us at home. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Now, this is one question that many of the Filipinos, kita mga kapaglaom, we're very curious of. So far, what's the most interesting part of being here in the Philippines? Like maybe a scenario, things. What's the most interesting for you so far?
I found, like I mentioned, the immigration officers very interesting. You know, the friendliness, and I find the team in the central office really interesting. Very easy to work with, very friendly, joking. You know, we have Roland, who is now acting as a promoter of he's the promoter of the carnival. You know, every day he's advertising the carnival. He's saying join, you know. So it's really nice. I really like the worships and so the warm, you feel it, you know, when you're, I mean, you might not because you are from here, but when we come in, you feel the warmth. We feel that we are welcome and loved. So that is really appreciated.
Wow, it's really consistent with what others are saying also, that Filipinos are like warm, friendly, hospitable, they do say. So check for that, mga kapaglaw. So nakuha po nato nad. Kuya Mark, you have some questions also for Sir Prabuk?
Yeah, we are so happy, right, Shanna? Yeah, we have tonight our visitors, and there are a lot of things that we would like to know. And surely our viewers, our angels, especially sa atong mga ADRA angels dira nga nag-commit sa ilang monthly donation to ADRA. So, mga kapaglaom, naaputay mga pangutana para sa atong guest tonight, no? Sir Prabuk, how did your work in ADRA begin?
Okay, so I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I'm going to tell the true story.
Exactly, because church members are watching also now.
Exactly. So I wish I could say, well, you know, I had a sense of mission and purpose when I joined ADRA. I wish I could say that. But the real reason I joined ADRA was because I wanted to live closer to my girlfriend.
Ah!
Okay? And the reason I can tell that now live is because she's my wife.
Amen!
You know, so I was working in International Children's Care before. And I applied for leave. I couldn't get the leave to go and meet her. And I decided it's time to leave. I resigned the next day. And then for 5 months, I was looking for a job. And then, very interesting actually, one auntie, Auntie Yvonne, shout out to Auntie Yvonne, called and, you know, she was like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you work for the church? You know, why aren't you applying for this ADRA position? I said, I didn't know that there was a position. Okay, I will send the CV, you know. And then that's when I sent the CV. It was close enough to my girlfriend at the time, so I joined ADRA for that. And I didn't actually expect to be in ADRA for so long. It was supposed to be just, let's find something to do closer. And then when I started off, I began to love the job more and more, you know. So, yeah.
So mga kapaglaom, nagsugod si Sir Prabuk tungod kay gusto siya magpaduol sa iyahang girlfriend. So, yeah. That's really interesting, though. Yeah.
It's one of a kind story.
Yes.
So, what kept you working for ADRA, sir?
Yeah, so like I said, after I joined, I really started to enjoy the job. And I don't know whether you have another question related to that, but my interview for ADRA didn't go very well. I understood that the interview was for administrative director. Administrative director.
Oh.
This is what I heard. Okay, so I went to the interview and we had Edgar, if he's watching, and maybe I'll share this with him. Edgar was the country director at the time, and there was a programs director. They were interviewing me, and he said, "Okay, Prabhu, tell us what you envision you will be doing in ADRA." So I said, "Oh, I'll be writing reports, proposals. I'll be traveling everywhere." You know, and they looked at me and they were confused, and they said. And I said, is there something wrong? Am I giving you the wrong answer? Then the programs director said, no, that's my job. You know? And then I said, okay, so what is this interview for?
You're getting his job.
Yeah, and then he said, no, it's for admin assistant. And they said, do you want to continue with the interview? Yeah, I said, no problem. I'll continue with the interview. And I was surprised that the next day he called and he hired me. And many years later, I actually messaged him. He's still my friend. I met him a few months ago also. He works for ADRA International now. I messaged him and said, why did you hire me? Yeah? Because the interview went really bad. And he said, I saw potential. And the way I interpret it is that God inspired him. You know? That is the way I see it. And it's been a pleasure working. And since I got involved with ADRA's work, right from the admin assistant to office manager to operations manager, it's been such a blessing. I love working with people. I don't think I can sit and work in an office every day, you know. So we get to go places, we get to meet people, and I think we really experience God's blessings through the work that we do. Personally, we are blessed, you know. Yeah.
How old were you?
At the time, I was I was 26 years old.
Oh, 26.
Yeah, 26 years old.
So nisulod si Sir Prabok sa mali di ay nga interview. You applied for, you were thinking that was a job, but then the real work was different.
It was quite different. And actually it helped me because I got to know all aspects of the organization. Starting from the safety security plan to the operations of, and you know, the logistics and everything, and later on shifted into programs and administration. So it really helped me. I never had a bad day in ADRA. You know, and I can say that very confidently. The people who have worked with me know that I love it.
Wow. If there's one lesson that I learned there, sometimes we want the interviews to be really perfect and all of that. God's leadings, God's biddings, like He can turn it into something very beautiful.
Yeah.
Even if it started kind of rough.
Yeah, exactly, except for the wrong reasons.
He mentioned about traveling. Yeah. So, isa po na mga kapaglaom nung me personally na ganahan po. Okay. Pagkaadto tag mga lugar nga dili na tumugas to og personal nga kwarta.
No? Dili laag.
Trainings o dili laag. Mga responses tapos mga trainings, no.
Di ba nakay ka ng imuhang gina-flag kung ahan na ka?
Oh.
Imong bucket list?
Yung tayo listahan, chika na to,
Yeah.
nakato na ko ani, kato na ka.
Yes, because of work, because of
Yes.
traveling. Yeah.
So, what were your most unforgettable experiences working in that?
Stories.
There was actually a very sad experience that I had, and I still think about it, and I still feel sad. I was also interim country director in Bangladesh for some time, and as you know, Cox's Bazar is the place where you have the largest refugee camp in the world until today. All the Rohingya refugees are there. ADRA was working there at that time, and I went to visit the camps, and I can't get this picture out of my mind. My wife knows it because I have told this to her many times, where we were walking in this very muddy little, not village, but the camp, where people are just living in tents for years and years, and there was a vendor who was selling some fruits, some small fruits. I didn't know what that was, and he stopped at a location to sell, and a little baby walked by, and maybe 2 years old, and she took one of those fruits, and the vendor shouted at her, and the father came and grabbed her with one hand and went away, and the baby was crying and crying, and I just looked
Because
at
she
it.
wanted
She
the
just
food.
wanted one fruit, and the father was embarrassed because it was like she was stealing, but she was not stealing. She just saw the fruit, and the father took her by the hand and walked far away, and very roughly actually. And I was looking at that, and you couldn't do anything, and I heard the baby crying until the baby went really far away, and that made me feel so helpless, and that was for me a very disturbing moment of my work there. And I still think about it, and I started thanking God for all the little things we have. We sometimes don't thank God for the things that we enjoy every day: running water, and here hot water, the clothes that we wear, the opportunities that we have. Many people in the world do not have that, and it's really touching for me. I mean, that experience I can't get out of my mind, and it's, yeah.
Wow, sir. When you share that, I mean, for us, like, para sa ato mga kapalaom gatanaw karon, that's us being able to see another perspective in life. Because maybe some of us, we're just taking things for granted. And then on other parts of the world, that's so hard to have. And there are, naag yung mga panginahanglan nga, tinuod ba, where there are like lots of people that are suffering even right now. And that really broke your heart.
Yeah, that is not fair. And I think that is where you renew your purpose in ADRA, where you can make a difference. You're not going to change everything, but at least you are in a profession that you can systematically make some difference, And I think that is what keeps you guys also in ADRA, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
true.
I mean, I think you mentioned in your language that you're traveling away from home all the while, and this is not something that is done by Carl and Prabhuk alone. It's our wives that support us as well, no? So it is our wives who stay back at home, lonely with the children, with all the stress sometimes, but they still support us, So we need to thank our wives also. Yeah,
Shout out to our wives.
yeah, shout out to our wives. Yeah.
Sana all.
Okay. So, last question for
Yeah.
my here. We have what were some of the challenges that you had to face?
I mean, I think challenges are a part of the work that we do. So there are many. One of the most significant was when I was working for ADRA Sri Lanka, and if the ADRA Sri Lanka team watches this, they will know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a time period in 2012, 13, 14 when we lost all funding because the tsunami projects were ended. We had nothing new. We didn't have any projects at all. So we had to rethink everything, and I think our skill levels were also really poor at the time. As I mentioned this morning, we wrote a 3-page proposal for 3 days, and that is a really poor level of skills. But we got together as a team and we realized that the Bible says, you know, do whatever your hand finds to do with all your might. So this is what was our motto, and we worked hard, but I think God gave us the results and the office grew. So this is one of the challenges and blessings that I always carry in my heart. Yeah.
So that's something that we have to always look into, because as I started working with ADRA, I was really planning, things were really unexpected too when I started with ADRA. But then there were really challenges, and it's real. But then you get in love, you fall in love with the challenges, because when challenges happen, there are like victories also that happens after it.
Exactly.
And you just get goosebumps, and you just be so like, oh, it's never the same if there's no challenges, if things just smooth sailing. Because I'm an overthinker. I really am a worrier sometimes. That sometimes I'm so perfectionist. I don't want issues or suffering or like the struggles and the challenges that comes in between. But then working with ADRA, you have to love problems.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
We do needs assessment.
Exactly.
We go to communities and look for problems. We have to love the problems, because definitely there'd be solutions for it, and then that would be a very wholesome experience. That's life-changing for me also.
Exactly.
And that's something that we want to uphold. Sa atong mga kapaglaom nga naminaw dira, no, kuyaw gyud kaayo. Pinaagi ani nga episode sa atong pakigdiskusyon kay Sir Prabuk, may balaan pud nato unsa pud iyang perspektibo ug unsa pud ang iyang nakita, unsa iyang naeksperyensyahan sa lain pud nga bahin sa kalibutan. Og makita po ninyo mga kapaglaom sa atong paghinabi kay Sir Prabuk nga ang ADRA dili lang lokal, dili lang sa Mindanao, dili lang sa Pilipinas, dili lang po sa Sri Lanka, tas tibuok gyud siyang kalibutan. Sa world, sa tibuok gyud siya nga kalibutan, nagahimo siya og mga pamaagi nga daw matud pa ni Sir Prabuk, dili man nimo mabag-o tanan. You cannot change everything, but then you can be involved in...
You can be part.
Yes, you can be part in changing what we
Humanity.
can change. Yes, in changing, in being involved sa kanang parte nga, kung sa'y pwede po nato mabuhat, atong buhaton di ay. Dili lang magkinabuhi para sa atong kaugalingon, not just to live for ourselves, pero magkinabuhi po ta dira para sa uban. Amazing. Mga kapaglaom, aduna pa tay mga pangutana kay Sir Prabuk, adunay nangutana sa atong bank details sa ADRA. So para sa katong nangutana sa ato ang bank details sa ADRA, ato na siyang replyan, napod si 40 dira, ato ang replyan taod-taod sa atong programa. Pero sa karon, di adto sa Siokon, adunay baha nga nahitabo. Dako nga pagbaha, it was a very massive flooding, and according sa atong mga residente nga nahitabo, nahinabi, first time to sa ilahang nga lugar nga inato kadako ang pagbaha. And ang ADRA, uban ang ACS sa Western Mindanao Conference, nakahatod pud ta og tabang. Ato ning tan-awon. Pinakadako o pinakagrabe nga pagbaha na eksperyensyahan sa mga katawhan sa Dipolog City diri sa probinsya sa Zamboanga del Norte atong Enero 10 tuig 2023.
December 26, tagahawak sa balay. Pero karong agsa January 11, mo to'y pinakadako kay hapit maabot sa alcoba sa balay, hapit maabot sa ceiling sa balay. Muna'y grabe gyud ka itong nga baha. Mo to'y pinaka dako nga baha nga akong na eksperyensyahan diri sa Pulangko. Mo to'y pinakadako. Unya ang among mga butang kay wala ko mag-expect ngayon ato kadako. Naabot yun ang akong mga sudlanan, mga hanging kabinet na sudlanan sa mga plato, sudlanan sa mga sinina, hurot yun kabasa.
Sa kinatibuk-an ang Zamboanga del Norte atong January 13 aduna nay 7 ang namatay og 64,000 ang gibakwit. Apan kung unsa ka grabe ang kalamidad, mas grabe ang pagpadayag sa Ginoo sa mga naapektuhan, pinaagi sa madasigon og mahigugmaon nga pagresponde sa ADRA og ACS sa Western Mindanao Conference. Karong adlaw, Enero 18, tuig 2023, ning abot sa kulang-kulang 500 ka mga pamilya ang malipayong nakadawat og cash assistance worth 1,500 pesos sa Dipolog City ug Polanco.
Alipay kayo ko nga ang Adra ni abot sa Polanco, praise God, ni abot sa Polanco. Nakahatag na mo og tabang, unya ang tabang nga among nadawat, dako po kay itong ikatabang sa amo nga panginahanglan sa among pagkaon. Mga pasalamat ko, praise God. God is good all the time.
Kinahanglan nga mo respondi kita makaigsunan sa mga kalamidad sa pagtabang sa mga nabiktima kay mao ni ang tahas nga gihatag sa Ginoo nga ang iglesia mutabang sa mga nahinanglan. Og sa diha nga makadawat sila sa salapi, makahimo sila sa pagpasalamat. Ginoo, salamat nga ikaw di ay wala nagbiya ka namo. So bisan hopeless sila, bisan nawad-an sila, so tungod ini mga pagtabang dunay luna nga makapagaan sa ilang kasing-kasing.
Unang bulan pa lang sa tuig 2023, gikuso-kuso na ang pipila sa atong mga kapaglaom. Apan, pinaagi pud ani nga pagsulay na himong higayon aron makita ang espiritu sa Ginoo, espiritu sa paghinigugmaay ug sa pagtinabangay. In behalf sa Adra, salamat sa inyong tanan. Padayon lang ta pirmi sa paghatag sa donasyon aron pirmi ang atong aksyon. Kini si Chantel Villapes para sa Mizpa Live News and Commentary.
Ayun, salamat kayo mga kapaglaw, mga volunteers dito sa Western Mindanao Conference. Sa Dipolog City to siya, mga kapaglaw.
Sorry, Dipolog day.
Dipolog City nga baha, no, nga naitabo tungod sa shear line unya sa low pressure area nga nagtagbo. And atangi mga kapaglaom, next nga week, no, sa Lunes, sa amo nga video pod from Zamboanga City nga response. So thank you kayo Pastor Junifer Coligado, ang ato ACS Director dira sa WMC, and to all district pastors and volunteers nga nagpartisipar sa maong response.
Yes, and I'd just like to say shout out and thank you to our Hope Channel cameraman and editor, si Clever. Thank you very much for that video. Thank you, Hope Channel, Western Mindanao Conference. Ayun mga kapaglaom, karon gyapon nga kahaponon no atong mahinabi padayon ang ato ang bag-o nga country director sa ADRA Philippines. Kung aduna mo'y mga pangutana, i-commenter sa Facebook na ba isa?
Na ako'y gusto basahon
Sige,
diri
sige,
siya mga
sige.
kapaglaom nato, no. Na-comment gikan kay Jevan Trippy. Love Adra, that's where my offering goes. So thank you kayo, and to
wow.
Joyce Rojas, gusto na ko padayon lang sa donasyon aron padayon atong action. So
Amen.
thank you kayo inyo timan-an ang ato nga slogan nga gipost sa mga nanglabay nga adlaw.
Yes, the slogan that we're sharing to our mga kapaglaom right now in Cebuano, it's padayon sa donasyon, continue your donation so that we can continue our action. Yes, mga kapaglaom, be an Adra Angel. So again, sa tanan, kung gusto ninyo ni i-share nga episode para daghan pa ang mapanalanginan, ayaw kalimot sa paggamit sa ato ang hashtag #ReadyWithAdra, #DisasterReadyChurch, and #Adra Angels. Ayun, Sir Prabok, we have questions now.
Go ahead.
Now, I think we're having...
More questions. Very good.
So, we'd like to ask you, we're really curious, I was really curious while writing this script, while writing the questions, when you found out that you will be the country director for the Philippines, what was your reaction? What were the things that first really came up to your mind?
Yeah, so this conversation happened a few months ago. I think sometime in, if I'm not mistaken, September or October, where the regional director at that time, Mark, who is now, I think, part of ADRA International, approached me and said, Prabhu, do you think this is something that you would like to do? In my heart, I felt, yes, this is something that I should do because you have, when it comes to the work that I do with ADRA Asia, you are responding to many disasters, and also you have a very unique strength and collaboration with the church. So this has always interested me, and I thought, yeah, this is something that we should do. I spoke to my wife immediately, and then she said, yeah, it feels right. I think we should say yes to this. And then we decided to get back and say, yeah, we're happy to do it. We're humbled that we were selected. So that's how we ended up here.
Oh, I will go.
Yeah, I will go, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I will go, mga kapaglaom. Even our leaders, even whoever around the world, when God calls you to serve, and that's actually the title of our episode for tonight, Called to Serve.
Right.
When God calls us to serve, whatever position, as long as you've prayed about it, na it's God's will, then I will go. Did you have any fears?
No fears. I mean, I knew ADRA Philippines for a long time. I've worked with people from the Philippines. Jasmine, Terence was in Sri Lanka. Wilson Maranan, who is now the country director in Mongolia. Shout out to Wilson, who is one of the most generous guys I know.
Oh, wow.
You know,
I should meet him.
Yeah, you should. I think we should have him on the show, right?
Oh.
So because he's planning to come here, so let's send a message to Wilson. Which camera are we on? Okay, this one.
Yes, this one.
Okay, Wilson, when you are in the Philippines
Yeah.
doing the AAL audit, ADRA people know what that is. You have to come on the show and give us an interview about your work in Mongolia.
In Mongolia.
In Mongolia.
Wow.
And so for all the viewers out there, this is something to look forward to. So we have a good lineup of programs this year, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
And mga kapaglaom, atangipod ang ADRA Asia Focus will be featuring ADRA Thailand.
Wow.
Oo, yes, this March. Ikatulo nga Monday, third Monday sa March, atong makita pod ang mga stories coming from ADRA Thailand. Shout out to Emma Crow from ADRA Asia.
Nagkalapad na ta siya, no?
Yes, no, mga kapaglaom, we're hearing stories from ADRA Sri Lanka, ADRA Mongolia, then ADRA Thailand. Wow, we have our 118 offices around the world, and I'm very, very curious about what's in store from every country offices. Now, sir, my next question would be, what did you first ask the Lord when you were offered the job?
Yeah, I think it's a standard prayer that, I don't know, maybe you have the experience. For me, the only prayer I have is that the Lord will use me to add value to the team, existing team.
Add value.
Add
What
value.
do you mean by that?
So that I will be able to contribute to the work that is already ongoing. You know, it is an illusion to think that someone would come from another country and then, you know, just bringing all the new ideas and, you know, try everything new. It's not the case. The team here, the ADRA Philippines team here, has a lot of great ideas, has been doing a fantastic job. And they are the ones who have the vision for their office. So my only prayer is that I would add value to that. You know, I would add value to that, and that my presence here would be meaningful, and that it would actually encourage the team more, and then, you know, it will be set time for someone else to come and then do the same. Yeah.
Wow. That's something. I really love the word that you also mentioned, meaningful.
Yes.
For it to be meaningful to us here, especially in ADRA Philippines. Thank you, Sir Prabhu, for that. Now, you are currently also, you're holding 2 offices, big jobs. You're the country director for the Philippines now, but at the same time, you are ADRA Asias. That means countries under Asias. You're the humanitarian response coordinator. How are you juggling these things?
Yeah, so I wish I can make it look really good and make myself look really good. But here's a fact. Globally, ADRA responds to most disasters in the Philippines.
Oh.
So most
Oh,
of
wow.
We are also number 1.
yeah,
Oh,
so
really?
ADRA Philippines
In terms
is
of
number
asking
1 in mobilizing the funding for the emergency responses. And in Asia, by far, it is the Philippines. So there is a logical, I would say, decision when it comes to sending me here, because I would say maybe 50% of my work with ADRA Asia is
Will be in the
related to the
Philippines.
Philippines
Really?
anyway. So in that way, it's fine. Also, when you're at the regional office, you're not very operational. You don't have like many tasks to do every day, but you need to be able to plan for trainings. You need to be a plan to develop the capacity of the people. So in other offices, and I think for me at least, being in Philippines is going to help out because we can draw the learnings from here and disseminate them at the regional level. So this is, I think, it will complement each other. So yeah.
Wow. So, it's actually logical that you're here sa ato makapaglaom nga naminaw kay ang Pilipinas number 1 jud pud kaayo sa trahedya sa tibuok kalibutan, number 1 pud siya sa ADRA International nga ginatagaan og tabang kay tungod lagi grabe gyud ang trahedya diri sa Pilipinas, malinog, baha, tanan na ato na yung giangkon mo nang magtinabangay gyud di ay ta, Sir Prabuk, no. Now my question would be are your two jobs, are they related? Like what aspects of being a humanitarian response coordinator would you bring to being the country director? But because so far, like for me, like working with Sir, because I was a mental health officer, and then Kuya Mark is like the emergency coordinator. He's really on the go. He's like, Sean, let's leave. Okay, Kuya Mark, let's leave. I have it, like in 1 hour, I have to be able to pack because sometimes, you just have to wait and all. But when he says, leave, let's go. He's always on the go. Is that same with you also?
Yeah, I mean, when you are in emergency, you need to be ready. And again, at the regional level, you are not necessarily operational at that much. When you're at a country office, you would leave in a few hours, like you just explained. But for us, we will have a little bit more time. However, what we have is a roster of experts within the region and globally. People who are well trained, who know what to do, who have understood their roles and responsibilities within the emergency setup very well. So at the regional level, we have contact with these experts in the region, and whenever there's a disaster, we mobilize them and we send them out. So something that I always say is that most of my career in ADRA was in the development sector. So if people don't know what the ADRA stands for, you say
Adventist Development and Relief Agency.
Yeah. So it's by chance that I ended up in the emergency sector. But most of my work has been in the development sector, and we need to highlight also the great work that ADRA Philippines is doing in that sector. I know that we are highlighting here the emergency work, and that is, you're really strong with it, and we can learn from it. However, we have Sir Jerry and Ma'am Levy, who is working very hard, and ADRA Philippines also has some good programs on disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation. They have funding from the EU, European Union, and from Canada. And they're working on a few opportunities. So that is actually just starting, not just starting, but getting stronger. So I'm really interested to learn from that as well.
Yes, because the Philippines cannot keep going. Like, we can't keep like living like when the disaster strikes. We have, like we've mentioned, mga kapaglaom, no, dili man siguro maayo pod nga pag naay kalamidad mahitabo, kanang wala bitaw tay mahimo nga tabang sa atong kaugalingon. I think us Filipinos should learn also how to be resilient when calamities strike. Now, there are numbers, there are casualties, agriculture damages, road damages, and all of this stuff, mga kapaglaom. I think also it should come from us, and we have to, like ADRA should help us also, like us Filipinos, I'm a Filipino, how to be resilient when disaster comes. How should, is that also one of the things?
Yeah, and I think you will definitely have examples of resilient communities in Philippines. It's not that not everyone is not resilient. It's just that ADRA can also program that more strongly, and it is happening already. And we need to look at ways of strengthening that further. We also need to see how we can build our partnerships and our reach so that we can respond better, recover better, and also build resilience. And I think this is where the church also comes into play.
Yes,
You
there's
know,
something,
and
right?
I don't know whether you want to wait until the
Yeah,
end
that's a
to
question
talk
already.
about.
That's it already.
So maybe at the end we can share some plans that we have for the future, but maybe we can.
But number one right now, this is something that you've been mentioning with us, disaster ready church.
Disaster ready church. So ADRA Australia has been implementing this with I think some of the officers in the Pacific, and we are thinking of trying it out here in the Philippines. So the plan is to start a new series on Hope Channel.
Yes, this is episode 1
This is episode 1
of season 1 for disaster ready
church.
Disaster ready church.
This is something that Sir Prabuk has been really passionate about.
Yes, and I think you guys share the passion as well. We have been speaking to some of the excellent pastors here, the youth leader and the president, the board chairman, and they're all really behind it and excited about it. So we hope that we can have some good training programs starting from next week, hopefully.
Yes.
And then also visiting some of the churches to provide some training and also to capacitate them to respond effectively.
Wow.
You know, and this is this would be maybe the target for this year. And a quick message to all the youth: we really want the youth in the church to engage. So if you are a youth and if you are tuned in or if you're watching this later, please be ready. Write to us, tell us about your church, yeah, and be ready to engage with this program that we are planning to launch called Disaster Ready Church. Yeah?
Yes, that's why mga kapaglaom, gamit yun nato ang hashtag na Ready with ADRA, hashtag Disaster Ready Church. Mo
Mga
namang-
exciting kayo.
Ay,
nga.
lagi. Super.
Tuig para sa ato siya,
Yes, mga kapaglaom. Mo nang gianhian yun na ni Sir Prabuk ba para maandam ta when it happens. Nakitag yun mga simbahan, mga iglesia sa Adventista, kung aha man galing na situate ang ato ang simbahan, andam ta makaserbisyo sa komunidad nga duol nato, mga kapaglaom. So action-packed yun ni ang ato apod nga pipila ka mga bulan. Now, you have questions, Kuya Mark?
Yes. Sir Prabhu already mentioned about the involvement
Involvement of
of
the
our
church.
church, the youth, no? So sa atong mga kapaglaom diya, no, sa mga pamatanon, iya gyud i-mention ang mga pamatanon nga naman mga kapaglaom kay in every response kapaglaom siya,
Volunteers.
Volunteers.
Youth.
youth gyud na siya. So importante gyud po mga kapaglaom, mga pamatanon nato diya no nga makapacitate kita sa sakto nga pagresponde. So my last question.
Yeah, I think this is a really
Last
good
question.
Yes.
Yep. As a leader, Sir Prabhu, who's your inspiration in the Bible?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. I think you draw inspiration from different characters of the Bible in different stages of your life.
Oh.
And I don't think I think maybe some people have one fixed hero. I don't. And I look at all these characters. Right now in my life, I'm very curious about the character in the Good Samaritan story.
Oh, okay.
The character of the innkeeper. The character of the innkeeper.
Not the Samaritan. Not the...
No, I mean, I think Ellen White says
The
that
innkeeper.
we are the innkeepers, where Christ, the Good Samaritan, brings people to us. So I'm very curious because for the last few years, people have been revealed to us, not only for help, but they help us as well, So I'm very curious about that character because he's running an inn and here comes this stranger with a wounded person. And we know that the Good Samaritan story was an actual event when Jesus spoke about
Exactly.
it. It was just not a made-up thing. It was an actual event. And he accepted this wounded person. From what I know, the inn was not for sick people. However, he still accepted and he was not paid in full. He was paid and then he said, okay, take care, I'll pay you back later. So for me, this character is it's intriguing, and I'm trying to see whether I can draw inspiration from that and to start looking at everyone that comes across me to see whether he's someone that I could be blessed through and that I could also hopefully contribute to their life. So I think, so I've been thinking quite a bit about this character and trying to imagine what type of
That's really
approach.
enlightening for us also. Like to be, he's not named.
Yeah,
Right?
not named.
Like he's very like subtle like person in the story, but then he did a really big role also. I think the key word for me also there is like acceptance.
I think another word comes into my mind, stewardship.
Steward. Yes, speaking of stewardship, Sir Prabuk, the next program, after our program, will be lesson study. And for the whole week, we have been talking about our offerings
Tithes.
and our tithes, mga kapaglaom, that all of us should be a good steward, right? So mga kapaglaom, atangi, after ani nga episode, atuan na nga mahisgutan usab, tun-an nato how to be good stewards, pinaagi sa atong offering o sa ato ang tithes. Now, Sir Prabuk, this would be the last, like for our viewers, our angels that are watching, for this first episode of the season 1 of Disaster Ready Church, what is it that would you like to tell them?
So to the angels, specifically, as I mentioned, we want to thank them because it is their contributions, monthly contributions, that really help us to do this type of programs. And it is actually their contributions that will help us to conduct this Disaster Ready program going forward. So if you're not an ADRA angel, please find out more. Visit our website and join this program. And also to the churches, we are very excited with this program. We want to partner with you. We want to systematically show you what responses, how planning for response could be. And we want to partner with you, and especially the youth.
Yes, we're so excited. Hashtag Disaster Ready Church. Mga kapaglaom, atangi atong episode next week kay magsugod na ta unsaon man nga mahimong disaster ready ang atong iglesia, ang atong panimalay, ang atua nga komunidad. Sir Mark, Sir Prabuk, our time won't permit us, no? We have only limited time, but we'd like to thank few of our friends and supporters.
Yes,
and
thank you
donors.
kayo mga kapaglaom sa mga nagtanaw diha. Salamat kayo, no? And thank you po sa among mga kaubanan diha sa country office, ang among finance director, Sir Edwin Rivera, and to our programs manager, Sir Jerry Riquillo, and sa amo nga mga partners, no? Ang Adventist Community Service throughout the Philippines. Salamat kayo ninyo. Ang gikan sa tulo ka unions, no? Ang North Philippine Union Conference, Central Philippine Union Conference, and South Philippine Union Conference. So salamat kayo mga ACS partners.
Ayun, in leadership of Pastor Abunjunito Kaime.
Yes.
Ayan. So again, Sir Prabuk, thank you very much
Thank you
for
very
this
much.
time. And then we'll be seeing Sir Prabuk on our next episodes, mga kapaglaw mo ng Atangi Gyud na. Gusto po nato pasalamatan ang atong mga volunteers diri sa Hope Channel South Philippines. Daghan jud kayong salamat sa pag-andam sa atong setup, atong technical tanan, atong equipments. Daghan kayong salamat in leadership of our manager, Sir John Sir Joe Calibod. Gusto po nato pasalamatan ang atong executive producer, no, Ate Charm Pamisa, and our social media strategist, we have Kuya Gerard Angaw. Daghan kayong salamat sa inyo, ha. Mga kapaglaom, padayon ang donasyon, aron padayon pod ang atong aksyon. Kung gusto mo mahimong ADRA Angels, matod pa ni Sir Prabuk, if you want to join and be partners with ADRA in changing, in serving humanity, so all may live as God intended, please message us sa official Facebook page ni ADRA Philippines. Just type ADRA Philippines, send us a message. Pwede pud mo muadto sa atong website adra.ph or contact the numbers para sa atong radio listeners 0916-557-4777 and for smart and talk and text 0929-344-1777. Daghan kayong salamat mga kapaglaom, and kita-kits next week Lunes alas 5 hangtod alas 6 gihapon diri lang sa Stronger Together.